I like to say, a little flippantly maybe, but gets my attention anyway. I like to say that the only excuse for something like a bishop and a bishop's office is to support the local congregation at every level. If all politics is local, then in a way, all church is local too. It's the local congregation where lives are most directly touched, where people discover a relationship with Christ in the community of faith, where they're baptized, where they receive the bread of life and the cup of salvation, where they're equipped to go out to be effective Christians in their work and daily lives. It's the place where we honor the bodies of those we love who've died. The church at its local level is where the most direct ministry happens. My job and the job of my staff is to equip that local ministry and to be the connective tissue, the linkage between all those local instances of church into something we call a diocese, where we are able to address issues at a level, in a larger way, in a broader context than we ever could at a local congregational level. But it's those local ministries that feed and in fact are the diocese. I always get amused when people talk about the diocese as though it's this building. It's not. Every local congregation is the diocese. And together we make a living body, able to do things we couldn't do in isolation. So the job is to equip that local ministry. Congregations typically find out how important the bishop's office is when there's some kind of challenge. More often than not, when there's a transition in leadership, when a rector is called to a new place or retires, all of a sudden vestries and wardens are wondering, oh my gosh, what do we do now? Well, the answer is, as close as a phone call to the bishop's office, we know some stuff about how to do it well. Transitions, not just as times in between times waiting for a new priest to come, but as times in a congregation's life when ministry can be renewed, where new things about the congregation's life can be discovered and owned in preparation to make a good new call. But there are lots of other instances. I even like to think that the bishop has, as part of his or her job, the job of inspiring the church, of equipping us, of holding a vision and raising a vision up for the diocese that will get people excited. I hope my emphasis on leadership is doing just that. And by extension, that inspiration should be true of every member of my staff. And I've heard, in fact, that it is. In the self-study we did not so long ago in the diocese, it was a comment made with some frequency. Namely, this is a quote, I read it more than once. When members of the bishop's staff come, we learn something. They've got something to offer. I want that always to be true of a visit from any member of my staff. I want us to get better and better at it. When I was a newly ordained priest, I was serving in a small neighboring diocese to Chicago and would often come to Chicago, come here for resources, meetings, to be equipped to learn about ministry in a larger context than the small diocese where I was serving. I remember walking up to what we now call St. James Commons and looking up at the building and the cathedral and thinking, this looks like the Episcopal Church matters. I still remember that and cherish the memory. I long for us to be exactly that, to be a diocese, to be part of the Episcopal Church, the Episcopal arm of the Jesus movement, as Bishop Curry would phrase it, a place that matters and is teaching and leading Christians into ministry that matters, changing people's lives. We renovated this building. Thank you very much for participating in that project. But I'm not in the building business. Neither are we. None of us are in the building business. We're in the transformation business. We really are in the business as church of changing people's lives in Christ, of helping people, nothing less than helping people to learn how to die and rise. That's the theologically charged language. But we put it into practice in very practical ways when we address gun violence, when we help restore the dignity of all God's children, robbed from them by the evils of racism. We're teaching people and actually making an experience possible, available to them, of new life. And new life for ourselves. We are engaged in that work. This diocese matters. I believe God has a plan, a purpose for us as Episcopalians in this diocese. There are things given to us, gifts given to us, ways of enacting Christian ministry that are unique to us, and we're called to use them wisely and well. All the programs, all the fundraising, all the initiatives that I want to be about are aimed at that, providing the means by which lives can be touched and changed and made new in Jesus.